Why can I teach in this class with so much confidence? Because I know the laws, and I know what I'm saying is true, because I actually am a result of them. I learned them, tested them, proved them. They work. So I can speak with confidence. These laws work. Laws give you confidence and boldness. Number 8, laws and principles are the enemies of fear. When you know the laws of life and the principles of life, there's no fear in your life because you know what to do. Fear is evidence of ignorance. What did I say? Write that down and tweet it to somebody right now. Hashtag Myles Munroe, please. What did I say? Fear is evidence of ignorance. Wow. If you know you got $100,000 in the bank and everybody panicking, they ain't got no money, are you gonna panic? Why you not gonna panic? Now you can't see the money, they can't see the money, but how come you're not panicking right next to them? Because you know something. That's all. Knowledge reduces fear. Jesus Christ had no fear of death. Now, that wasn't because he was God. He told us why. He said, my Father told me that if I lay my life down, I could take it up again. That knowledge made him fearless of death. It was the information that gave him the confidence and the boldness. When you know laws, they cancel fear. Now you can see why laws are so important. Let me teach the laws of success. Law is the foundation, again, I repeat, of inherent in creation. It is the glue that holds the universe together. Everything exists by law. Everything exists on law. Everything exists for law. And without law, there's no success. Now, why is law so important? I want you to read this verse that, and by the way, I want to say this because right now there's some people preaching around the world about grace. I'm not against grace, but I'm against the teaching that grace cancels law. Be very careful. You overdose on grace and you start abusing law. Overdose on grace and success runs from you. You overdose on grace and you use grace to break law. Grace doesn't cancel law. Grace positions you to keep the law. Let me prove it. The first statement of Jesus Christ on earth, when he came to earth about law, is found in Matthew 5, verse 17. Read it out loud with me. Go. Do not think, he says, that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish the law, but to fulfill them. And I tell you the truth, watch this now, until heaven and earth disappears. Is earth still here? Heaven still up there? Good. He says, until they disappear, not the smallest letter or the least stroke of the law will disappear from the law until everything is accomplished. The earth's still here. Wait, it gets better. Read. Anyone who breaks one of the least of these laws and teaches others to do them, to do that, will be called least in the kingdom of God. Read the last part. It's about me. But whoever practices and teaches these commandments will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. I'm a great man. Are you great? Yes, because you learn how important laws are. You can teach others, right? You become a great. Christ says I'm great, not me. I am great in the kingdom of God because I teach you to keep law, not to keep grace. Grace forgives you so you could keep laws again. Yeah. Please get my series in the bookstore on law and grace. It'll help you. Now, I can't wait to get to this part here. Laws and tradition. Laws and tradition are different. Traditions can give you failure. Most people fail because of tradition. If you're going to be successful, you have to break tradition. Somehow we've made tradition and law the same. They are not. Let's read Matthew chapter 5, verse 20, the words of Jesus Christ out loud. Read. For I tell you that unless your righteousness surpasses that of the Pharisees and teachers of the law, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. Now, that word righteousness means what? To be realigned with God's laws. Okay? So he's talking about the difference between tradition and laws. If you don't believe me, read the next verse. Matthew 15:2. Read. Why do you disciples break the rules or traditions of the elders? Stop reading. Notice the word or between what? Rules and traditions. They are the same. Okay, read it again. Why do your disciples break the rules or the traditions of who? The elders. Who? The elders, not God. Follow me now. You got to separate what man made from what God established. I guarantee you with all my strength that man has designed your failure. I don't trust no law of man. None. This is very important what I'm saying. He said, they said, why do your disciples break the rules and traditions of the elders? Nothing to do with God. Read the next statement. They don't wash their hands before they eat. Sound familiar? Jesus replied, now he can respond to them. Why do you break the laws of God in place of your traditions? Your rules, your traditions. Wow. Help me, Lord. The difference between law versus rule. Get your pen. This is fresh stuff off the wire. Remember this all your life. My cyber members, write this down, okay? What is law versus rules? Number one, a general rule or principle that is thought to be true or held to be binding. The world calls that law. It's a rule. Number two, in the world, let's say that a statement of a scientific fact or phenomenon that is invariable under given conditions. They call that law. Now, that's not necessarily true, because God violated many facts. Like walking on water, violated a scientific fact. Opening the Red Sea. Some say they ain't real. It happened. But God violated the natural facts. Number three, they say laws are principles set out in the Bible, especially the Pentateuch, which is the first 5 books of the Bible. Matthew, Mark, Luke, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy is the Pentateuch. The laws of God. They also say that laws are a rule or conduct or procedure recognized by a community as binding or enforceable by authority. This is dangerous stuff here. Law is a rule of conduct or procedure recognized by a community as binding or enforceable by authority. This is dangerous stuff. For example, in America some years ago, they made a rule that black people were only 2/3 humans. That means they were half animals. That was a law in America, right? So they expected the procedure to follow that. That means a black man could never be treated like an equal human to anyone else. So he was sold like you sell animals. It's called slavery. Why? Because there was a rule that produced that conduct. Watch this. And it was accepted by the community. So the white community in America accepted the rule that black people were not humans. They were just partially animals. So to sell them and to treat them like animals, to beat them and to burn them and to brand them with a hot iron was just like branding a cow. It's not. After all, the rule is accepted in the community that you ain't a real human. So the whole concept was based on a rule created by the community. And it was binding and enforceable by authority. That means authority gave you the right to buy a slave, to beat a slave, to brand a slave, and to sell a slave. The community made that enforceable. That's how dangerous the law is. Now, what happened to that? Well, you get people who rose up and says, we are against the rule. Why? Because there's another law. The law says that all humans are equal, made in God's image. So that they had to find another law. They got that law from where? Genesis, right? So they say, okay, we found a divine law that says all humans are equal. So the law became more important than the rule. I don't trust rules of men. You can see why. The rules of men are designed to make sure you fail and to keep you from prosperity and success. The last one is the most frightening one. They say laws are an act of passed by legislature or a similar body. This is dangerous. A law is an act passed by legislature or a similar body like Congress or something. Now, that's dangerous, eh? They're making laws today, all kind of laws. I don't call them laws, I call them rules. The Bible calls them rules and tradition. They are trying to make it a tradition that two men get married, for example. Two men can get married. They're trying to make it a tradition so they can become acceptable by the community. Remember, the community now is the problem. And they want to enforce it by authority. You have to marry two men if they come to you. Why? By law, they say. So there's a problem in some countries where if two women come to get married, you got to marry them. Why? The authorities have to enforce it. Why? Because legislature says it is a rule, which they call a law. Now, problem. They made a human law, but natural law disagrees. The two men can't have children. So your human law cannot stop natural law or divine law. That's why we teach in this church the divine laws. And I'm telling you right now, I am willing to die to protect natural law and divine law. I know you're clapping, but that's going to be tested one day. See? We can see if you mean that clap. Me, I already decided. That don't mean nothing to me when it comes to protecting the laws of God. So here's the bottom line. The difference between rules and laws. Number one, laws are more important than rules. What did I say? Tweet that right now to someone and hashtag Myles Munroe. Number two, these are principles. Laws are different from rules. Number three, rules these are retractions, customs, limitations, and boundaries created by men. That's what a rule is. Men retract from the divine laws. They create customs. They create limitations. That's what a rule is. It's a limitation. They create boundaries. A rule is not a law. It's not a real law. If man creates a rule, it is not a divine law. See, Man was designed by God to protect natural law and divine law. What man has attempted to do is to create a third set of laws, which are his own laws. And many times those laws violate the first two laws, natural law and divine law. That leads to point number 4. Laws should never be subject to rules. Martin Luther King Jr. said these words when he was fighting against the oppression of white domination in America. He said, there comes a time when it's legal to break human law. That's an important statement. There comes a time when it's legal to break human law. So let's go, he said, let's go march. Let's shut down the country. Let's sit down on the buses. Let's shut down every restaurant. Let's don't go to work. Why? The law says go to work. That's a rule. But we say there's another law. We equal. So we ain't going to work. There comes a point where laws cannot be subject to rules. I'm talking about success tonight. And number 5, where there is conflict between a law and a rule, obey the law. What did I say? When there's a conflict between a law and a rule, obey the law. That might mean going to jail. Nelson Mandela went to prison because he broke a rule. And he broke the rule because he found another law. The law says all men are equal. The rule says they are unequal. He said, I'm going to obey the law and violate the rule. So I'm going to pay the price. And number 6, successful people always break the rules for the sake of the law. I remember when they said that no man could break the 1-minute mile. No, 3-minute mile. 4-minute mile. Yeah, it was a law. It was a rule. They made a rule. The human can't run faster than 4 minutes in a mile. They said that was a rule. And then one guy decided, I'm going to break it. And once he broke it, everybody break it. Leaders are always rule breakers. That's why they're leaders. You can't lead by keeping rules. You lead by keeping laws, but not rules. The rules are made by men.
We appreciate you. It's your love and your support that makes Myles Munroe International possible around the world. Visit us online, share your testimony, prayer requests, and to view Dr. Munroe's schedule or to join us in partnership. Thanks to you, we are transforming followers into leaders and leaders into agents of change.